It's always in the news. Cybercriminals attacking great organizations, wreaking havoc on the trust of their brand.
We socialize cybersecurity for you to raise awareness.
Interviewing leaders who built and protect great brands.
We help talented people enter into this incredible field, and we share our research at blockbuster true cybercrime stories.
This is Cybercrime Junkies. And now the show.
Hey, well, good afternoon. I am David Morrow, your host of Cybercrime Junkies. In the studio today, we have a true Renaissance man, somebody that serves as a senior security researcher at Huntress, educator, overall great human, and is also has a whole history of a senior researcher in malware and runs his own Capture the Flag sessions, and is a massive content creator and has a very popular YouTube, Twitter, and LinkedIn presence. And as I said, an all-around great human, John Hammond. So thank you and welcome to the studio, sir.
Well, hey there, David. Hey, thank you so much for that super generous and warm welcome.
No problem. And if you want, like any Zoom meeting you have, Mark and I can come in
first
and,
off,
and
we can
introduce
introduce
you.
you as you walk into a room or you get on Zoom. We can give you
Whatever
that
you-
same intro.
Man.
I'm very flattered. Thank you.
No,
This is great to have you on. This is really
How's
exciting.
audio and video? Am I on the right microphone? Are we looking sound good at least?
you do. You sound great.
Yes.
We really appreciate it. Let me actually change up our video spot, and there we go. Cool. So just share with everybody kind of what your current role is, and then I kind of want to back into that and kind of always get down to the purpose that you're driving and things like that.
Okay. No, absolutely. And thank you. So, hey, from that introduction and all, currently for my day job, I work as a senior security researcher, in quotes, whatever formality they put on that title thing. But no, Huntress is a fantastic place that I got to fall into around 2020. Their CEO, Kyle Hansloven, I'm not sure if folks are familiar, but he had reached out and said, hey, John, we had just landed Series A at that time, I think at the end of 2019. And he said, we're moving and shaking, having a whole lot of fun. But listen, I need some help having someone kind of carry the weight of creating content, bringing out education, bringing cybersecurity out to folks, and do that sort of stuff, whether it's a main stage presentation, whether it's talking to reporters, whether it's writing a blog or making content. I need someone to handle that for me because I got to do like regular CEO stuff.
Right.
But he was super kind and said, look, I know you got to stay technical. I know you want to stay on the keyboard. We're both nerds and geeks at heart. And that's where I fell into this, a little bit of a blessing. Hey, I get to wear two hats. I can sling some code together. I can still hack on the agent and the product, but I can, hey, go out and be a little bit of a public face and shake hands.
Well, and that's great. And you're really doing that. So you were just at Write a Boom. You just had like a precursor to Write a Boom, like a session ahead of time. Walk us through that. How was that? Because I heard some phenomenal reviews from it. I wasn't surprised at all, but share with us kind of what y'all did and what the mission was.
Well, hey, thanks again. Just past week, I was over at the Write of Boom event and conference over in Texas. And that event is put on by Andrew Morgan. Just for some background for folks that aren't familiar, he's one great, incredible individual that spearheads the Cyber Nation or the Cyber Call that gets a whole lot of, hey, service provider organizations and businesses together to chat about security. This is the second year that they put on the show, but Write a Boom was a ton of fun. This year I got together with John Strand, who's over at Black Hills Information Security.
Great guy.
Him and I did a little pre-day, a little workshop kind of class activity that ran for about 4 hours, but we were, hey, getting folks into doing some role play for tabletop exercise or Backdoors and Breaches is a great game that Black Hills had built to kind of help ride that vessel, to think about, hey, what are we going to do when boom hits, when there's an incident where that bad B word breach, and then right of boom, how do we respond, recover, to remediate it the best we can? So all of that and getting hands on keyboard for some labs. Hey, what are we going to do for incident response? Are we throwing out Velociraptor? Are we digging through event logs? Blah, blah, blah. It's a whole lot of fun and an absolute great event.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So walk us through kind of a little bit of your background. I mean, did you know you wanted to do this when you were younger? Like what kind of drove you into cybersecurity
Or
so
was there a
passionately?
single event? Was there a single event that drove you into cybersecurity?
Oh, okay. So hey, yeah, I guess a little bit of a story there, if it's all right. But
Of course.
if I'm rambling or yapping on for too long, please say the word, and cut me off. But no, I feel like I grew up sort of like any other kid that's thinking, hey, I want to make video games, or I want to be a
Right.
hacker, like I see in the movies and all that Hollywood sense. So I went online. I used the computer, the only thing that I really could to do that. And I started to Google. I started to look online and research and watch YouTube videos on how to be a hacker in a genuine Google search. I think I stumbled across Eric S. Raymond's blog. Eric S.
Oh
Raymond,
yeah.
one of the leaders of sort of the free and open source software movement for some time, and he said, "Look, if you want to be a hacker, you need to learn how to code. You need to learn how to program." He recommended Python as a language to work with at that time, and I go back over to Google or go to YouTube and how do I learn Python? Uh,
Right.
so for a long, long time, the origin was, hey, just let's make stuff, let's create things,
Yeah.
let's build software, make video games. It wasn't until, truthfully, I attended the United States Coast Guard Academy for my undergraduate. I was looking, hey, could I hang out with the Air Force? Could I do something with the Navy? Coast Guard said yes. So it's really interesting because at a military institution or for some of that government stuff, they think, hey, it's really cool that you can build things. It's nice that you can make something, but can anyone break it?
Right.
Where they care more about the vulnerabilities and the exploits and that cybersecurity flair to it. So at one point, I got to go participate in, again, a Capture the Flag, a training competition with all the other service academies, and it was sort of this like Olympic style event with Jeopardy challenges, but when you are a freshman at one of the military academies, whether you're a plebe or you're a swab or whatever they folks call you, you have to like walk in the middle of the hallway and square in the edges of the corners of the stairwell and the ladder
It's
well.
like being a pledge at a fraternity.
Oh,
Oh
right.
yeah,
Yeah, it's the same
I
thing.
did not
stuff they
realize
have you
it was
do.
that way.
So I remember, hey, on the day we were going to go drive to Pittsburgh or whatever for this in-person event with all the Service Academy cadets and midshipmen, and hey, do cyber in a really cool hands-on event. I just remember 4 a.m. or whatever it is that we got up, squaring down the stairwell, and I was thinking like, this is it, man. This is kind of what I want to do. I like this. It brings a little bit more meaning because even at Huntress, hey, sort of on the front lines or in the trenches when something hits the fan, there's a new vulnerability or there's some threat actor causing havoc. Uh, I don't know. I feel like it really does make a difference when we have a partner or a person or a business that says, "Hey, you guys really saved my bacon here. You're
Right.
the reason I can sleep at night because we got someone on the watch." So
Yeah.
that's the motivation.
That's great. Yeah, so it's kind of that drive, and we see a lot of people that we talk to in cybersecurity that came from military, and it's something about that it's not just the discipline that's learned, to me, in my opinion, but it seems to be that drive to serve and protect, right?
Oh
That
yeah,
drive to kind of cover your brother, cover your sister, right? Like kind
Kind
of
of a higher calling, really.
yeah.
A higher purpose.
So
without a doubt.
yeah. So let me ask you this: when it comes to and there's a whole host of business owners, they own manufacturing companies, attorneys, physicians that listen to this podcast or that will watch these videos. What can you walk people through what a capture the flag is, just from a rudimentary level, and then why it's so useful? Because I know you know the answer. You do them and you lead them all the time. We know the answer, but let's kind of paint that picture for us. Is that okay?
Sure thing. Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for helping me add that backdrop and color the picture a little bit. Because I know, hey, if I'm throwing around these terms with these acronyms or whatever.
Right. Exactly.
So Capture the Flag is taking cybersecurity, the whole industry, the whole theme, the whole business, right? Or just that practice and making it into a game. Making it into a sport, making it into a puzzle, something that you can kind of play with, right? Because say, hey, you're with all your friends, and I know you might imagine to capture the flag at outdoors recess, but no, it's you get everyone with a computer and you put it in front of them. Hey, here are a couple tasks. Here are a couple activities or challenges that I might present to you. Like, hey, look at this website over here. Can you, if you were to go look at this website, can you hack into it? Can you break into it?
Right.
Can you find those vulnerabilities? Or look at this program, look at this application. Can you find the memory corruption issues or with the cryptography that it's using? Can you break that crypto scheme? So it sounds silly, but you hear the term jeopardy a lot of time with Capture the Flag, because it's like these grab bag different categories of web application security, binary exploitation, reverse engineering, cryptography, forensics.
It's like English literature for 3000, please, Alex. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Everybody, just wanted to mention Cybercrime Junkies Prime. We now have a subscription available through our podcast, and it offers exclusive content, bonus episodes, and even pre-releases of all of our standard shows.
We keep it simple. It's just the cost of 1 cup of coffee 1 time a month, and you can cancel anytime.
You can subscribe by scanning the QR code next to me in the video or by clicking the link in the show notes. If you select not to subscribe to our Prime membership, please at least consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. It's at Cybercrime Junkies Podcast on YouTube, and it's absolutely free. It allows us to bring great guests on the show. Thank you for your support, and now let's get back to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the clear benefit in learning that, is there a methodology of winning that game, or
Absolutely.
is it more about the learning and the steps, the building blocks to get there?
Yeah, so entering the certain amount of stakes, right, to really win the game, whenever you capture a flag or you get sort of a string of text or the key or the token that proves, hey, yeah, I broke into this website. I found the secret data that was hiding there. You'll go submit it on a scoreboard or some Centra agreement spot that says, hey, this is where you can submit all of the keys and flags and tokens that you found. And then your points on the scoreboard or the leaderboard will increase. So all the peers and the other teams that you're playing against, all the other players, they'll see the shift and the leaderboard and the scoreboard and say, who's the winner? Who's going to take top 10, top 500, or top 1,000? And it's, I know, sure, adds a certain element of competition to it, but it is still really for fun. It's so that you can learn. It's so that you can get exposure to new technologies, new software, new hardware, new exploits or tools and vulnerabilities that you might not otherwise play with on your own. And I try to draw that parallel a lot, because when I talk about CTFs, and honestly, why I probably beat the dead horse. I sound like a broken record for championing, but you as a person go to your day job and you do your work and you have your workflow with the tools that you use, the processes, the software that you're used to, but everyone else has their different workflow and technologies that they love and they use. So when they get to bring that to you and say, hey, look, I made a game out of this for you, you get that new exposure. You get to see what sort of malware can do in this scenario. Hey, what different thing or tool or software can solve this problem, and what faster way. So it's a wonderful fire hose. And again, I scream and shout from the rooftops. I think Capture the Flag is one of the best ways to learn.
Absolutely, because to me it seems like it's the practical application of things that you've studied, right? And you get to do it in a controlled environment where you're really not going to do harm to the other side, and you can actually apply that knowledge. And it's gamification, right? There's a whole host of ways that people learn, right? And they absorb information. Making things fun, making things gamified is it's a brilliant way. They use it in formal education, and it makes perfect sense here. Can I ask, when you focus on, you were just at Right of Boom. When you focus on Boom and Right of Boom, are you seeing anything in the clients that you guys serve over at Huntress or in the industry? Are you seeing a lot of organizations actually practicing and doing those exercises, or is this something that is it's more rare than common occurrence?
Sorry, Mark, I didn't know if you had anything else in there.
No, that was I was thinking the same thing. How often do you see this, or how often do you not see this?
Yeah.
it's you're getting into a fun, hey, glass half full or glass half empty
Right.
view. I think there are a good handful of businesses and organizations that know, hey, what the heck is a capture the flag, or what is a
Right.
tabletop exercise? But then the question that you ask is, okay, do they actually do it?
Right.
I think tabletop exercises and that role play gamification has grown very, very well in the service provider or IT MSP space. I think in the quote unquote traditional, if I may say, or like the cookie cutter cybersecurity scene, capture the flag is a little bit more prominent, and we sort of have to pour these two into each other in a strange way, um, because hey, are we going to get a business owner to go to DEF CON? You know, hey, are
Right.
you attending the
Exactly.
local B-sides? Well,
Right.
maybe not, but is a B-sides member going to go to some MSP conference here, vendor ABC XYZ? You know, I don't know. Spending a lot of time with John Strand, and if I may, he has he has a wonderful perspective, because when we did our class together, we acknowledged, and he had openly said, like, hey, for a long time, I think what we tend to think of when we think of the word infosec just sort of left behind a lot of the managed service providers or small mid-market businesses, because oh, there's no money there or whatever, and it was just the desert wastelands. But it's
Right.
not at all. It's a
Nope.
they're the front lines.
Yeah, exactly. And there's still, and so I think that gets into the question that I just asked is, do we see it more in enterprise space as opposed to that SMB space? Because our experience as an MSSP is we are seeing it more so on the enterprise space.
Agreed.
When we mention it to the SMB space, some of them have never even heard of it,
Like,
or
what
they
is that?
saw it and they don't know what it is. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like you have, like, first of all, it's hard to get them sometimes to create the right policies, let alone practice them. Like, what would happen? It's almost like a live racy document, right? Like,
Mhm.
who does what? I mean, in school we have kids that do fire drills, right? Because if we didn't, we'd have kids in the actual fire running down the hallway, going the wrong way, bumping into each other, etc. But we don't do that in for a lot of small businesses. And I'm just curious whether you're seeing somewhat of the same thing.
I am. I am. I'm seeing the improvement. A slow
Yeah.
improvement though, but like, hey, yeah, let's keep amping that up. That's again why I try to keep chatting about, hey, can we get folks to play a game? Can we get folks to
Yeah.
be hands on keyboard?
Right.
Not to pivot, but again, hey, something that we kind
Pivot
of
away.
bring out
It's
with
fine.
Huntress. No,
Yeah.
event that we bring and we love to bring to different shows or conferences, and we can get people together, is a silly sort of hacking with Huntress, or hey,
Mhm.
hacking Windows, like modern tradecraft, and we'll get folks in a virtual environment, like an Azure lab sort of thing, where you hey get to pry open Kali Linux, you get to act like the adversary. Hey, let's load up Cobalt Strike. Let's see what a command and control framework might do, and what happens when we point it at a web server. Let's beat up Microsoft Exchange with all those recent vulnerabilities and exploits. Or like, hey, let's have you craft a phishing email and genuinely send it so you can get your callback. And
Mhm.
it's all these different weird nerdy things, but I think it is very, very different when you get to put them in front of it, let them interact with it, and they see it with their own eyes. I don't know. I always think that's very, very eye-opening and great when you can really do it and not just talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me ask you this. People that are in school or coming out and they're in help desk and they're looking for cybersecurity careers. I mean, people look at you and they're like, man, that looks fun. He makes it seem so fun. And really what you're doing is like researching malware, right? It otherwise, 20 years ago, people were doing that and it looked really dry, right? But you have engaged in a way that makes it really fun. What's a great career path to learn that? What are some of what's the best certification that you could advise, or one that you got the most out of? Like, what advice can you give to people like that looking to get into what you do for a living?
Ooh, okay. Man, super good question, because there are a whole lot of roads to go down, right? And I
Yeah,
don't have by any means a one size fits all
of course
guaranteed
not.
answer,
No,
but
right.
look, hey, I still put Capture the Flag front and center. Everything that I tend to do has been translated from that. If you wanted to, hey, go explore some of those other online war games or practice ranges, stuff to be able to play, people always list and mention, look, you've got to try Hack Me, you've got to Hack the Box, you've got all those things. And I'll realize and I'll admit, hey, those put you in that hacker, pen tester, red teamer perspective. Sort of sometimes you have to translate it to what is the blue team? What is the defense going to look like here?
Exactly.
There are some spots like Let's Defend. I think Blue Team Labs Online has a lot of great stuff where you're doing some more of that log analysis, artifact collection, etc. But when you get to see both ends of the spectrum, that's when you really kind of put puzzle pieces together. Certification wise, it's hard. Because again, a lot feel like, hey, let's go be the sexy hacker, be that's the Hollywood movies slinging keys on the keyboard. I think eLearn Security, which I think now is working with INE, had some Threat Hunter one. But there's some really great stuff that Sector 7 puts out if you want to get some of the top tier things. I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel, forgive me. But I really recommend folks, hey, just be part of the scene and with it. Whether you're on Twitter or Mastodon, you might see folks that'll share their analysis and share their research, and they'll find samples if you're willing to play with them on like Malware Bazaar or VX Underground, of course. Kind of just pull those down, get a virtual machine, a safe environment for yourself, and kick the tires.
Yeah, actually do it, right? Like actually create it's almost like a home lab, right? Like actually go ahead and do that. Excuse me. I mean, I kind of see that a lot of people that we know that are getting informatics degrees or computer science 4-year degrees, they've kind of just gone traditional routes, and then they're asking, how do we break into something like this? And I said, well, the degree is great for historical knowledge and understanding frameworks and things like that, but it's really about what you're doing. Right. And it's all those examples that you just gave, and actually trying to break stuff, trying to get in, like actually doing that. That's really where you can demonstrate and set yourself apart from another candidate when you're looking for a role. Is that fair?
Oh, absolutely. Without a doubt.
Yeah. That's so.
Hey, well, that's a wrap. Thank you for listening. Our next episode starts right now.
Please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's free. And download the podcast episodes available everywhere you get podcasts.
To support our show and get exclusive pre-release episodes and bonus content, please subscribe to Cybercrime Junkies Prime.
Link in the description and show notes. And thanks for being a cybercrime junkie.